how to receive divine guidance or to hear from spirit or angels. The question is, how do we hear from anybody? You're hearing from me now because you're watching this video, but you had to go onto YouTube and find the right channel. Whenever I'm shuffling my cards, if something, this is obviously the wrong card for this deck, that's obviously an important message. Choice. Being able to hear from spirit is a choice in the sense of you can train yourself. You can train yourself on how to hear from spirit. And so we know for sure that, so when I say spirit, I'm talking about, some people might call spirit God, the universe. You might hear from angels. And when we say hear from, that can be a bit of a misnomer, because when we think about hearing, we think about actual sound. And it can be sound, but most often it's not sound, for me anyway. Become more objective. So the important thing is just to listen out. Listen, again, perhaps the wrong word. Become aware of signs, synchronicities, messages. If you're wanting to hear from deceased loved ones, what is some kind of symbolic language that might connect with you? So, for example, relinquish control. Be objective and relinquish control. It's not an act of doing. It's an act of just opening up to receive a message. So, for me, for example, and for many people, dragonflies are symbolic of particular deceased loved ones. I also have, for my dad, the wagtail bird and the hummingbird are particularly significant. So as I go about my day, I notice. And sometimes I might see a hummingbird, not actually physically, but I might see it, not the bird itself, but I might see it because this is a painting that I painted of a hummingbird. And of course, it's always there, it's in my office, but sometimes I just notice it more. It's kind of, Suzanne Giesemann calls it a snag, where your attention gets grabbed by something. I might see it on a billboard. I might see it in a movie. I might see it in hear about it in a song. And all of those things remind me of my father and help me to know that my father is thinking of me. Show self-respect. It's important to understand that every single one of us is worthy of hearing from God, spirit, loved ones, angels. And so first open your mind to it. And even if you don't know how to do it, just say, wouldn't it be amazing? I love these words. Wouldn't it be amazing if today I heard from my loved ones? Or wouldn't it be amazing if today I received a message from spirit? So the first thing is to be open to it and to set your intention. The second thing, some people really worry about, spiritual protection, and what about letting in evil spirits? I always set my intention to only hear from the sources of highest love, who have my best interests and the best interests of all at heart. And I've said that sort of an incantation, that intention, so many times. I've now got a shortened form of it, and I refer to my guides by a name. And this name could include a whole group of different guides, whoever is there at that moment that has that has the best answer for me, and only allowing people with the best intentions into my field, spirits with the best intentions into my field. And this can really be a new beginning for you if you start to think of it this way. I know a lot of people spend a lot of time on protection spells, protection prayers, putting on the armor of God, and that's fine. If that works for you, that's absolutely fine. I'm not knocking that. But for me personally, I prefer to turn up my light, because the darkness cannot survive in the light. And how do you turn up your light? Well, firstly, you need to understand that you have got the divine spark in you, part of God. I believe each one of us is part of God. We have a divine, I don't know if you want to say DNA, but it's just a spark of the divine in each of us. So just knowing that, that's the first step. And then the second step is to think about things that lift your vibrations, something that makes you laugh, something that makes you grateful, any of those emotions that really lifts our spirit, and it spreads our light like a ripple out into the world. So be open to it, understand that you're worthy of it, and then for me, I like to lift my vibration by thinking of something something beautiful, good, funny, anything that lifts my vibration. Okay, and I do this lifting the vibration 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 times out of the day, just so that I can keep at that kind of level. Some people like to release any negative emotions, let go of anything that is not serving them, and you can do this simply by breathing in and then breathing out and going, now you've released it. So you can do any of these things, and sometimes in an abbreviated form, you don't even really need to do all this, because it sort of becomes your natural way of being. And then just watch out for the messages. So I think I've only 3 times in my life had the sound of a voice. So sometimes it's an internal voice, just like I don't know if you have an internal voice. Some people don't. I don't really have much of an internal voice, but it might be like a thought in your head. And how do I know? How do I know if it's from spirit or if it's just me? Well, the more you practice this, the more illumination you'll get, and the more you'll be able to understand. But if you have this sort of intuitive knowing, or this thought, this idea, something like, oh, I need to leave 5 minutes early today, and then you need to follow that intuition. It's like a muscle that you can build up. And when you follow that intuition and you leave 5 minutes early, and then you find out, oh, there was an accident, and if I had been going at my usual time, I might have been involved in that accident. Or we've all had this one. I really shouldn't eat the second piece of cake, but I really want to. When you know I really shouldn't, whatever it is, that is your intuition helping you, talking to you, reminding you that 1 piece of cake is enough to, you're not going to feel so good afterwards. What do many of us do? We ignore that intuition or that thought. You can't build the connection with intuition and spirit if you are ignoring it. So preparation was all the stuff that I mentioned before, and be prepared to receive messages. Say, wouldn't it be amazing if today I got some amazing messages? And then I like to look at billboards while I'm driving on the bus or riding on the bus. I often get messages from that. It could be you turn on the radio, if people still listen to radios, and there's a particular song and the lyrics are meaningful. It really, the messages can come in any way, shape or form, in many ways, shape and form. So the first point is you've got to have the desire to hear from Spirit, God, love, the universe, and then start to spot the synergies that happen, and then be grateful when the synergies happen. And so I'm trying to think of an example. So with my cards, yesterday I was doing a live reading for my channel, and I was thinking of one of my channel members. Her name is Rose Quartz, and she just came into my mind. I don't know why, while I was pulling cards for for other people, and she wasn't in the chat. And the first card I turned over was Rose Quartz, and she did come into the chat later. So the card that had Rose Quartz on it might have been a message for her, but it was also a message for me to trust your instinct. When that name came into my mind, and then I pulled the card, it's not an accident. It's a synergy. It's a something that God is trying to get your attention with. And then on my first day at my new job, I was just thinking to myself, but communicating with my father who's passed away, that, gee, Dad, you would be so proud of me. This is my first day of my new job. I miss you so much. I wish you were here to, celebrate with us. And I looked up, and no word of a lie, on the side of a building, there was a massive, massive hummingbird. I don't know if it was painted onto the building or if there was a poster of it or what it was, how it was there, but it was this massive image of a hummingbird. And that to me was my dad saying, I am right here. I am with you. I am celebrating with you. So then it's important, once you hear the message or you see the synergy, to go, haha, all right, I hear you. And in that situation, I felt that I had heard from my father. So I was like, thank you, Dad. I hear you. Thank you for that reminder. I'm so glad you're still with me. With the cards with rose quartz, my internal dialogue was, Spirit, you're so clever. I had a thought in my head, and then the card came out. That thought in my head, you put Rose Quartz's name in my mind, and then there was the card that came out. And if you want to know more about these kinds of experiences, really look up Suzanne Giesemann. She calls them no other explanation experiences, NOEs, where and she's got much more incredible stories of synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity. That there's no doubt that the communication is coming from a higher realm. The other important thing that's important to do is to clear our minds. Now, a lot of people like to use meditation. And what's the difference between prayer and meditation? Prayer is when you're asking something. Meditation is when you're listening for an answer. Now, meditation doesn't have to be tricky or difficult. It can renew your mind. It's just a chance to quieten your mind, and you don't have to empty your mind. If you see a thought or you realize the thought's coming through, just pretend it's like a little cloud going across the sky of your mind, and just go, I see you, thought. What am I going to have for dinner? I see that's a thought. I'm just going to let that go now. And then another thought comes and another thought comes. Basically, what we're trying to do is make our minds less noisy. Because, like if you go into a shopping centre and it's really noisy and it's difficult to hear people next to you, our mind is like that as well. Our minds can be very crowded with, what am I going to have for dinner? Which bus must I catch? Which stop must I get off? What am I going to do at work tomorrow? What am I going to wear? I need to wash my clothes, whatever. And all of that noise in your mind can crowd out or mask the actual message from Spirit. And give yourself grace. It's not like suddenly you're going to get an epiphany and you're going to have God's voice in your head saying, Rainbow Pyramid, I am here and I am God, and I want to let you know that you need to do a live on Saturday. That's kind of not how it works. It comes up and it can seem like it's one of your own thoughts. And how will you know? People sometimes worry about what if it's bad? How do I know if it's from a good spirit or a bad spirit? You'll know. You know what good is. Any time that it's something for your own good, for the good of others, all of that's good and loving. If it's anything that says to harm yourself or to harm others, that kind of thing, that is not from God. That is not from Source. That is not from love. So it's the fruits will tell you. The fruit will tell you, and the fruit is good. I don't know if you know what I mean, but you can tell. We know. In weaving, you can sort of develop your own style also of communication, but just notice anything that could be a message. So, for example, for me, daisies are special from my childhood. I'm not actually even sure why, but it just gives me the childhood kind of vibe. So sometimes I'll be getting stressed or whatever, and then I'll see daisies, I don't know, come up somehow it'll come up. I might receive a card with daisies on them, or I might, an advert might pop up on my computer screen with a daisy on it, and then it just reminds me to not be so stressed. So, reciprocity. And it is important. It's a two-way kind of communication. And it's not a communication as in, I say, all right, Spirit, what should I eat today? What would be in my best interest of my body to eat today? And then Spirit goes, oh, Rainbow Pyramid, you need to eat bananas because you're low on potassium. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. I love the words, wouldn't it be amazing? Spirit, wouldn't it be amazing if today you could guide me on how to eat healthy? And then when I look at my choices, when I open the fridge, and I go to grab the candy bar, because here in Australia it's so hot, you got to put candy in the fridge, otherwise it melts. and you go to grab the candy, and then instead your eyes catch the bunch of grapes, and you go, actually, I feel like the grapes. So it's just being kind of aware. What are your favorite ways of receiving messages from Spirit? I'd love to know. Yeah, and it's important to set boundaries, and this is so that you're not worn out. And often if you're not the kind of person who likes to meditate, often just a walk in a park, walk in a garden, getting out in nature, fresh air, anything that makes you feel good, restores your soul. I love to go into the bathroom, have a nice hot bath, put some candles on, and sometimes I'll listen to a podcast, a spiritual podcast or something like that. And that's the other way that we can get our messages as well, by listening to other people who are more in tune with spirit. So I have a few spiritual teachers that I listen to, and I get a lot out of their messages. And very often when I listen to their message, afterwards I will see sort of signs and synchronicities that confirm to me that was really a message for me. And it's sometimes it feels as though they're speaking to me personally, and then I know, well, that resonates with me, this message. Obviously God meant me to find this video. But when you listen to others, always just test it in your heart. If it makes you feel yucky, that's the only word I can say. If it makes you feel yucky, then that message is not for you, and just leave it, find a different message. And the messages will always help you to progress, help you to not feel down, help you to feel like life is beautiful. I'll get this other deck of cards. Yeah, and so if you ever feel that you're getting a spiritual message and it's negative, or it's a no, but in the upside down. If it's negative, spiritual messages from God will not be negative. Okay? So if you get a negative message, that's not from God. And that doesn't mean to say that you don't get messages that are negative, in the sense of the message is no. So like if you're asking, should I accept this job offer or should I not accept the job offer? Sometimes the answer to that is do not accept the job offer. But we have to be in tune with our intuition. God talks to us a lot through our intuition, and also through our common sense. We say, oh God, please help me lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever, wherever you're at. I could stand to lose 30 pounds. But then if I go out and eat chocolate and chips and whatever, I'm sabotaging myself. I'm not in line with that thought and that hope and that prayer. God can't help me lose 30 pounds if I still keep eating like I don't want to lose 30 pounds, if you know what I mean. It's a cooperative endeavor. Access clear thinking. That was what I was talking about before, is just to have some time in your day where you can clear your mind. Let go of all those busy thoughts. Awaken your vulnerability. Yeah, so it's just about being open. It really is about being open. And look, there's another boundary card. And so boundaries are really important with us. And sometimes we don't have boundaries. For example, sometimes, there's been a thing in Australia recently where sometimes work people, bosses, will email staff during their time at home and expect an immediate response. And it's actually now been brought into law in Australia that if the person is not during their normal working hours, unless it's an emergency, an employer cannot demand that employees respond immediately to text messages or emails or that kind of electronic communication. So it's about setting boundaries. It's about trying to keep your mind healthy. If you keep your body healthy too, that helps as much as you can. And I mean, I'm not a great... I can do better on that front. And that's the thing. Life is a journey. None of us is perfect, and we're all striving towards something. Flying free. When we know that we actually do have a team of guides, angels, animal guides, really rooting for us, then it's almost like we're this lady on the bird, and the bird is flying, and the bird is your whole team that's sort of carrying you. Yes, you do have to take action, and you can't just pray all day and meditate all day and be so spiritual that you never take any action. Um, so, but you can certainly expect miracles, and I love starting the day saying, today I'm really expecting a miracle, and a miracle could be a small thing. Miracle could be the bus is running on time, or you got a seat on the bus, or it could be I don't know, boss noticed a thing that you did at work, or it could be that hummingbird on the side of the building that I saw. Stepping into stillness. Yeah, it's about having inner peace as much as we can, and then when we're very stressed and overwhelmed, it's important, even if we just take 3 minutes out of our day, just to go, this is my time for me. Standing firm. Again, it's about boundaries. Oh, and look, there's my meditation guilty pleasure. And taking actions. Remember I said you can expect miracles, but you can't just expect God to fix everything for you, because that's the whole point of life, is to find fulfillment in creating our own way in life. So we can expect miracles, but if we pray just to win the lotto so that we don't ever have to work again, that may or may not come to pass. Okay, and certainly if it's going to be bad for you to receive that money, praying for it is not going to help. So expect miracles, but take action as well. So for a different way of thinking about it might be, if you've got financial problems, wouldn't it be amazing, Spirit, if you could help me solve my financial problems and open some doors and show me what action I need to take so that I can fly free. But it does mean you first have to be still. Stand firm. Step into stillness. Take action. Expect miracles. So it's kind of how I do it. Stillness every day, some kind of stillness. Take action, positive action, but expect miracles, and be grateful. This is the flying free one, is be grateful. So when you expect miracles, it's important to recognize the miracles that you already have in your life, because you're not going to get more if you don't see and acknowledge and be grateful for what you already have in your life. So, for example, this card just distracted me. Embrace meditation. Meditation can be, you can do walking meditation. You can meditate on the bus. It's just opening your mind to spirit communication. Develop stronger concentration. Okay, I think I'm probably at the end here now. So try and quieten your mind. Listen. And it's not only thoughts or feelings or sound. It can be anything. It can be images. It can be somebody can give you a gift and it reminds you of something, in whatever's meaningful to you. and be open to the communication. Take action when you think, oh, I really should. People say you shouldn't be bound by when you think you should do a thing, but for me I kind of have that knowing. It's my when I have the thought of I really should go for a walk today because I'm feeling a little bit flabby. That's the kind of I really should that I need to listen to. Not I should go and do something for somebody else. Oh no, that could even be it. Anyway, for me, I really should is kind of one of my tells that it's a spirit prompting me. So I had a big mess by my desk this morning, and for ages I've been thinking I really should do something about that. And this morning I went, you know what? I keep tripping over the stuff. Today I'm going to fix it, and now I feel so much better because I've cleared up that mess that was by my desk that I kept falling over. So you take action, you expect miracles, and then it really does affect your energy levels and your emotions. And look, not everything's going to go right. I mean, I was looking for a job for 3 years, and I got knocked back, and I was starting to think, oh, am I ever going to get a job? But then I changed my attitude. Instead of going, please give me a job, please give me a job, please give me a job, I went to, wouldn't it be amazing, Spirit, if we could work together and you could open some doors for me and find me the best job ever? Wouldn't it be amazing if you brought people into my life who could help me, show me how best to handle the interview process? Because obviously I'm doing something wrong. I've got 7 interviews over the last 3 years. They love me until they meet me, and something's happening. And interestingly, the employment agent, I applied for one job, and he said, no, I've got this other job that'll be much better fit for you. It's better money, it's better conditions, it's closer to where you live, and I just think you're a better fit for this position. Your skills and experience will really be well utilized in this position, and they really will appreciate you. And so this chap, he really helped me, gave me some interview tips, and that's the position that I got. So what I'm saying is that it's important that we don't give up when we don't see the miracle yet. But if we are not moving on to the path we want to, so for me, it was I wanted to get a job. I'm exhausted from running my own business. I really wanted to be employed. I had to think about what was I doing, what action was I taking that actually wasn't working, and how could I change my mindset and change my action. So when I changed my mindset, when I started on this, wouldn't it be amazing? What I then did also was I made a decision that 1 hour every day I was going to dedicate to finding the right job for me. And so instead of just sort of applying here and applying there, I made that commitment. And as soon as I made that commitment, honestly, within, 2 weeks, I had a job offer. That's how quickly it happened. So sometimes our action is not working. We sometimes need to be sensible and change what we're doing to try and get a different outcome. Anyway, I hope this has helped you. Sorry, it's a bit rambling. And may the angels walk with you now and always.